the blue bar will appear at the top there when it starts. That's it. Thank you everybody, welcome to today's Planning Applications Committee. My name is Jim McLean and I'm the Vice Chair of the Planning Applications Committee. Present here today we have Councillor Betty Cunningham, Chair, Councillor Paul Edlin, Councillor Chris Lundy, Councillor Andrew Morrison, Provost Montague, and the Officers President we have Julie Nicholl, who is the Planning and Building Standards Manager, Leona Allison and Jennifer Graham, Assistant Committee Services Manager, Eamon Daly, Democratic Services Manager, Alan Pepler is the Principal Planner Development Manager, and finally we have John Burke, who is the Committee Services Officer. First item, of any reports for absence?
I do, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Ireland.
Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest with regard today? No. Okay, we're being asked to consider one application today, and the application is number 2022/0570/TP, erection of 18 number garages including refuse recycling stores and resident parking adjacent to existing garages within the rear courtyards of existing apartment blocks development to the rear of Alexander Avenue, Eaglesham, East Renfrewshire, G760JD. Are we happy we've got enough information to determine this today? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'd invite Mr Alan Pepler to go through the application for us. Thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Chair. As you can see from the papers, this application is a detailed planning application for the erection of 18 garage lockups, including refuse recycling stores within the rear courtyards of a flatted development on Craigbank Crescent and Alexander Avenue, Eaglesham. In terms of the report, as outlined on page 9, the application has received 32 objections. The comments raised cover various matters including loss of amenity, disturbance, loss of bin stores, damage to the access roads, antisocial behaviour and title restrictions. We have also received an objection from Roads and Transportation on the grounds that the garages, due to their size, would be unlikely to be used for the parking of vehicles, and as such, vehicles currently using the area for parking would be displaced, potentially causing traffic safety issues. I have some slides that I can share. So the application site lies within an urban area towards the northern boundary of Eaglesham. There are 3 groupings of garages titled A, B and C, as can be seen on the images here on the screen. The garages are of various dimensions, with the minimum size being 3.6 metres wide by 5.22 metres deep. These plans show the appearance of the garages and Area C in more detail. I would just point out the new bin storage enclosure area here, which would be to accommodate any bins displaced by the development. This relates to Area B and contains the garages as well as 3 residence parking spaces located, 1 here and 2 here, together with some extra bin store space. And this just relates to Area A, the last one. As set out on page 10 of the papers, a previous planning application was refused by the Planning Applications Committee in September 21. This was for 27 garage units. In terms of the assessment, it is noted that the land where the proposed garages will be located is currently used for parking, bin storage and open space and recreation. The applicant has advised that the garages would not be let for commercial businesses. However, they would not be tied to the flatted blocks and as such would be let out as a commercial venture on the open market. To address some of the concerns relating to refusal of the previous application, the applicant has reduced the proposed garage numbers from 27 to 18 and introduced 3 car parking spaces in addition to bin storage facilities. Despite this, as set out in the assessment of the report on pages 12 and 13, there is concern in particular about the amenity impacts of the proposal in relation to introducing relatively uncontrolled lockups that could be used for storage into this area immediately adjacent to housing. While the applicant has reduced the scale of the proposals compared to the last application and attempted to mitigate some impacts through providing bin storage and limited parking, given the concerns of roads and transportation and the potential amenity impacts, it is considered that the proposal does not comply with the relevant local development plan policies as set out in the report. It should also be noted that NPF 4 was adopted on the 13th of February and as such now forms part of the development plan. So when the report was written, it was still unadopted and as such was a material consideration at that point. Taking all relevant matters into account, as concluded on page 12, the proposal is considered to be contrary to the relevant policies set out, and the recommendation is to refuse for the 2 reasons set out on page 13, which in summary relate to the impact on the character of the area and amenity, as well as displacement of car parking to the detriment of public safety. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Mr Prepler. Well, I'd like to open it up to the committee now, but I'd like to just kind of say a wee bit in this first, if you don't mind. Obviously, this is in my ward. I've had a lot of people complaining about this. There is a number of other kind of things. A lot of the flats there are sublet, so it's not as if the people in the flats are going to get uses of the garage anyway. There is a number of garages there already exists. I actually went round the back and did a count of the cars. There's about 30 odd cars parked behind these houses, so if they build these garages, they're all going to be placed out in the road, which is going to mean car parking again, which was laid out in the report of handling there. So that's just my kind of opinion on it. But you know, there's a lot of things but it has come before, it has been rejected before, and as far as I'm aware, the sizes of the garages still aren't in line with the recommended. So there's quite a lot there that can't get a car in it. So you know, you don't know if this is going to be used for commercial, or they're saying it's not, but you've no way of telling that. You've no real way of managing that. So as I say, it's been before and it's been refused before, and personally I would be to refuse again. Open it up to anybody else. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you very much, Chair. Looking at the slides Mr Pepler just showed us on screen there, I had a quick look at Google Street View myself, and it appears that the roads which go between the properties to access the rear are single track. They're not even fully paved roads. Now that may be sufficient for residents to park for domestic purposes, but it sounds like this is actually going to be a commercial venture. So are there any thoughts on the sufficiency of the road as it currently stands, considering it's only single track, merely feet away from residential property? Is that really conducive to have that commercial operation? That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Just the road on Alexander Avenue in front of the flats, it goes into 2 areas, Alexander Avenue and Craigbank Crescent. The road in front of the flats in Alexander Avenue is actually unadopted, so it's not in great condition anyway, and that's gone into the back of two of the flats, and then it goes into an adopted road. Any other points? Provost Montague.
Thank you very much, Chair. My conclusion in this is based solely on what's in the paper and what's come from the planning officer, and I think it's just quite clear about the reasons for, and seems to me valid reasons for refusal. So it's only on those aspects from the comments made and the objections, only on the paper and from what the planning officer has said, and I would propose that the planning officer's recommendation to refuse be upheld, be supported. So I would propose refusal.
Thank you, Provost. Councillor Cunningham.
Well, Well, Chair, I'm just listening to Mary and I've read some of the sentences. I've listened to the officer and I totally agree with it. I think it should be rejected, and I would like to propose that we did reject this planning application.
I'd be happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Morrison. Is there any other comments to be made by anybody? Or are we all happy to go with the proposal and the seconded?
Yes.
Okay, the proposal, the decision is that we refuse planning permission for the flats.
They're getting a wee goose.
Julie, would you like to go through what the reasons were? Because they're obviously the same as what the last reasons were for rejection is the same as this one. Or would you like John to do that?
Thank you, Chair. The reasons for refusal are that the proposal is contrary to policies D1 and D2 of the adopted East Devonshire adopted local development plan, and policies 14 and 15 of National Planning Framework 4. The proposal is, and the reasons there are that it would lead to the loss of amenity open space associated with the adjacent flatted development and give rise to the intensification of use within the remaining amenity open space and access lanes to the detriment of the character of the area and to residential amenity. The second reason for refusal is that the proposal is contrary to policies D1 and D2 of the adopted East Devonshire Local Development Plan, as it would result in a significant intensification of use for this area and the likely displacement of car parking onto the adjacent public road network to the detriment of public road safety and to the detriment of safety of the existing users of the site.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nichol. If that's everything today, do you want to summarise? Or are you quite happy? That's everything here today. So thanks everyone for their attendance, and that concludes this planning meeting. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.